Perfectionism isn't your problem. I know that sounds wrong, but hear me out. I spent 3 years building the perfect system for my life in my mom's basement. Perfect routines, perfect databases, perfect structure. And I've had this reoccurring nightmare that I'm about to play ice hockey with my friends, but I can't find my gear. I search and search, but I end up missing the whole thing. Turns out I was doing the same thing while being awake, and the answer to why, the way out, can literally be shown on a calculator. If you take any number and divide it by 0, you get infinity. That is not a glitch, that is the whole point. Let me explain. I've always wanted to reach my full potential. For the last probably decade, when having various jobs, I've been trying to have a side hustle. Because for one, it's very useful to work with your passion for reaching your potential, obviously. But about 3 years ago, I quit my job and I went home. And I'm still here in my mom's basement. And it's still because I want to reach my full potential. Actually, the reason that I quit was first that I wanted to go to travel the world because I felt that I can't work anymore because I need to go down further and further in time, but I feel more and more tired. And I've been all over the place trying different jobs. So there's been a struggle for me here during these 3 years, soon 3 years, which is the battle between niching down on one thing, focus like any of the successful people you see. They usually do one thing, so they're taking it really good at that. It makes sense. But I always felt and I feel still the need to live a holistic life where I grow in all directions. And I've been all around on the spectra there, trying to literally do everything at the same time, which is not possible and not something I still try. But I've been doing it into clusters lately, like having just one goal in each category of self-development at a time, where if I finish one in, let's say, health, for instance, now that would be reaching 9 hours of sleep a day. And when I'm done with that, I don't move on to sort of, for instance, cold resistance, Wim Hof style that I would want to sometime. But I go to the different areas of personal development, of relationships or love, and business, and yeah, those are the basics, but I put in fun into there as well from time to time as a goal category. So what I'm saying is that I've been in any area here in narrowing down versus broadening up. So I've been, focusing on just one thing. It makes me miserable. Like, imagine choosing one thing that you need to do all life. That takes a lot of sacrifice, and I know some people swear by that sacrifice, and that's all good for them, but it's very important for me to live life in the present moment all the time as well, and being at peace on the journey towards the top and reaching my full potential, That is my sort of mantra many times. And I've been, like I said, trying to do everything at once. Just, for instance, when I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, that's a typical time when I thought and I got tricked into that I can do everything at the same time, just a little bit on everything, and it will work. And balance it up with just a few things at a time and one thing at a time. But, the big problem that led to this video today and this insight that I'm going to talk about began with that I just felt spread thin, like Bilbo said to Gandalf in the first movie, like butter on too much bread or something.
I know I don't look it, but I'm beginning to feel it in my heart. I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread. I need a holiday. A very long holiday.
Where I have for months now noticed that I'm so motivated. I want to come to the next thresholds in all of my life, in all of the directions. For instance, I wanna come back to and move further in my meditation because I've seen what that can do to me and my life. And but that takes so much time and effort, which everything does, that you wanna master. And for instance, such a silly thing like sleep, even sleeping 9 hours a day takes time and effort, but it's worth it, of course. But still, you just have a limited amount of time and energy during the day to sort of spread every goal evenly or not evenly on. And I still want to read more. Sometimes I just wake up and I feel like I wanna read for hours or watch YouTube tutorials or stuff for hours or courses because it's so interesting and I learn so much, but that takes so much time and effort and it removes from the other areas of life. And I want to socialize more. I have been in a cave in my mom's basement for 3 years, most of the time, with rare vacations, small weekends sometimes. Like I can count on less of my hand. And all of these things I have been like, yeah, okay, these are clearly goals that matter to me because they constantly knock on the door in my head and heart. And just also, of course, giving even more time to my health and my body, and that could be a full-time occupation as well. Taking more baths, more time in the gym, more time stretching, all of these things. There's so much to do in every area. It's so annoying when you see people on the internet or TV when they are always the one who, of course, have stood out because they have succeeded in their thing, and that's always because they are so maybe autistic. Like I'm a little jealous of autists in like those who are more autistic in this sense where they can focus on one thing in a sense because of that. But in another sense, I'm not jealous and I'm very grateful for how much a generalist I am because that makes me see patterns so much easier because I expose myself to all of life or so much more than if I would to focus on one thing at a time forever. But I've been sort of forcing myself to almost do that, focusing on one thing here since the time started to tick a little bit when I was here. First, I was gonna be here for a month or something before I went traveling the world, and I was supposed to go volunteering and all that good stuff with which I still have going for me soon. And I will come to how this is born anew now. But I felt when I came here that, now finally I have enough time to not be interrupted in my side hustles. They no longer have to be side hustle. I can have my creative bubble for as long as I want and need to. I'm gonna do that for once in a lifetime now. And that was pretty amazing. I got my energy back there pretty quickly because of that. And I've been going from project to project since then, coming closer and closer to my core of my being, of what I really want to do. It was really like I heard much earlier that you can see it like an onion, where when you start with goals and following your passion, you need to see it as an onion where you can't just know the core. The first thing you need to go on the surface first, which by the way is the same where sometimes and many times when you do therapy, when you're trying to reach the earliest childhood trauma, but you really need to take the latest trauma and it will naturally sink you deeper to the core. And that's been the thing here or the case for me now, where after maybe a year or 1 year and a half, after some more on the surface business ideas, like finally like working with human design, or I came into maybe I now will do something with AI easily, and follow a dream that I had, or an idea of making childhood games tutorials. But anyways, I realized more about myself and how I would be happy all the time on the road, or not happy, but at peace and generally happy. Because emotions come and should go as they choose, but enjoying the journey, that can really be achievable. And so I won't go in too much in depth on these pieces of finding myself, what that was and is, because I haven't put those pieces together entirely yet. But one thing I can say is really that life for me seemingly still, and has been confirmed for years and years now, is that I just want to be on an intuitive adventure towards my potential. I have, and it's very confirmed also in my human design, by the way, where I just have two centers, and those are really like the intuition and the push for improvement and for play. Which, as someone who tries to build a business or try to, not having to go back to normal jobs and be burnt out again, that has felt kind of weak to me, to just be having to rely, or having to, but be recommended by some to just rely on intuition and your willingness to grow. Where is the structure in that? But I will also come to something where I related to that I realized in this message here. Yeah, so for that reason, I've been ignoring that part of myself to a great extent, where I've been forcing myself a bit to just be able to live out of something that I'm passionate about. And I need to put all of my energy there, or as much as possible, because I like my soul or my inner boundaries has anyways forced, with that kind of discipline, also kept minimal effort at health and gym and that stuff, and also with meditation and relationships and love and that, and fun. I just have to be holistic. But I've been building and building, and since I realized how I could actually live in the future, maybe on sort of this adventure that I said, this intuitive adventure of just living, learning, and giving. That is my paradise, my individual inner paradise state. That's really all I want to do, truly. Just want to go about life and experience, learn from that, refine that through my own filter and my own perspective, because we all have our perspectives, and it's very valuable. People's experiences and perspectives. That is how we learn and grow as a collective as well. Just like AI grows through sharing all that they learn with each other, and they become super smart, in their terms or their potential. And just short, how I found that could be me living off that at some point would be being a creator. I mean, an artist or an entrepreneur or an author, or what you want to call it, but all of these areas, and probably more areas of life, go by these 3 steps, basically, of living, experiencing, and observing and slash learning, and then giving slash sharing, with refining. And teachers also do that and stuff. And I feel really happy and alive in this process. And I feel that I have some sort of calling to observing and sharing, learning. I've always been good at those things and enjoyed it so much. Because just short also, I heard that a purpose sometime in life can be foreseen or decoded by looking at something that you have had a real issue with growing up. And to me, it's been speaking, with stuttering and my voice. I not have a good relationship with my voice here. And it's funny that it's cracking up here a little bit now that I talk about it, but it makes me really passionate about speaking because of that. So yeah, I've been in this basement, basically, battling with also the fight between trying to focus on one thing so that I can get paid by that, at the same time trying to be holistic, live life now, because life is everything. It is socializing, following the flow, being open to invitations, not just so disciplined all the time. But I guess there is a time for discipline and caves, for sure. Finding stuff in yourself, well, but that is not for everyone and certainly not for all the time. And I found this way of, after finding myself on a deeper level, a way of maybe getting paid in the future from doing that. The YouTube dream or the creator dream where I could be a teacher, I could see myself be a teacher, going on education, taking loans, become a historian or history teacher or something like that, or society teacher, because I find that really interesting. But at the same time here, again, I just sort of can't stand being so focused for years on one thing, and I much more prefer at least being, if I can, general. And yeah, that is sort of where I went, and I am still, I guess, with my side hustle, which I try to go all into, and I've learned so much during these years. But I actually got ready for it to begin with it now a year ago, and I have begun, I have 15 videos now, I think, or something. But the thing with me in my brain that I will go into, that maybe some of you other overthinkers or hidden procrastinators could relate to, is that I love systems and structure. And systems are amazing, because they can leverage so much. They can make you so much more efficient with so much little effort. It's very appealing for someone who easily burn out. And I still have systems, and I will still have, and I will keep it as a hobby, to being open to improving systems and finding new ones. But I can't keep having them waiting for the perfect system. I cannot. And you can't wait for the perfect anything. I should know that by now. But the thing here, and this is a new perspective, which is kind of cool, I think, is that perfectionism isn't what I'm going after here. I don't think we should be against perfectionism. I think perfectionism is natural, because look at nature. For instance, plants, they seek, I would argue they seek perfection, and they reach it in a way. But how do they do that? They don't find a perfect system. They trust their inner system, and I will explain more. But what we need to do is aim the perfection, because anywhere we turn with our intention, with our powerful brains and actions, we will seek perfection naturally. If we let go of thoughts, I think, well, Buddhists might not agree with me, I'm not sure, but I think a natural state for us is to just want to grow and seek perfection. And even, I think, Buddhists do that when they don't think at all or don't desire anything anymore. Or what do you think, Buddha? That they still then naturally, they seek enlightenment, right? But what I realized is that I need to stop now, and I have stopped, and it feels so released, connected to an insight that has to do with meditation that I had before also. In the same sense, I feel a relaxation where sort of the brain lets go a bit, like it was in a cramp constantly. And how did that happen? It's when I sort of shifted from, again, and this is a theme for me, apparently it's kind of cool and trivial, I guess, but from an externalization to an internalization, once again. But in this area, it's from a new angle. This time it has to do with direction, I think. And I see this image in my head where there's darkness around me, but I have this flashlight in front of me in a cone. But with this externalization that I've been doing for so much of my life, I see this flashlight isn't just a light, it's a sort of a grid, and it just grows wherever I turn, it's there, sure. But whenever I check those boxes of these grids, let's say, they keep spawning new ones, they keep branching, and that is fine. Like I said, the perfectionism works that way. When you reach something, you want to go further and further and further, and you probably can't even reach perfection. Or when you do, I guess in religions, you ascend and it's over. But so in life, here and now, there is no perfection like that, but it's always the search for it, and that's fine. But I was talking to my mom, like I usually do when I feel that something is getting stuck inside of me, or something is off, or an emotion is nagging on me, and I try to put words on it, and we bounce it back and forward, and it's a pretty nice process that I've been very grateful for, where I always end up on the other side with an alchemization where I feel a lot of inspiration and creative power out of any stuck state, which, by the way, is something that I'm working on to decode and sort of try to teach at some point how that works, because that is so transformative, literally, of anything, and arguably the best skill that I have found in my life that brings me forward on this path of trying to reach perfection, But during our talk, I then realized, or I was explaining first that, I feel spread thin, like Bilbo, and I feel that I just can't do what I want to do. I don't have time and energy for it, and I don't want to minimize myself. I always try to both keep the cake and eat it. That is a good intention that I keep, and vision, because that is often possible when you reach a certain state of understanding stuff, where it's maybe where you get out of black and white thinking in areas, you get into balance, and there you can often combine the cake and eating it. So what I tried to do during the talk was, what if I flip this thing, and I flip it internally, because that usually works, I guess. Many times we externalize. That is one of the biggest problem, by the way, in life and the world that we have. I won't talk about that now, but I have really, me and my podcast friend who talk more about the world and stuff, we usually come to that conclusion, or I do that, and I call it like the number one problem. But yeah, I can explain myself at some other time, but it takes more time. So I flipped the burger a little bit, or the pancake, and instead of a grid of databases, which, by the way, are amazing, and they are infinite potential in the external world. Databases plus AI nowadays. With that you can build anything when it comes to the external world through technology. And it is, of course, it's a black hole in that sense, because you can't reach perfection. And that's what I've been doing, sort of being open to learning about AI and databases and second brain softwares, how I can leverage my brain and my note-taking and content creation so that I can reach this vision that I told you about, which is these three things sort of to experience, learn, and give. Because if I had a perfect system, and I've been keeping this gamification dream also, where I build at some point a perfect game or system that will inspire people to live life and not just distract themselves in apps or games, because life is, or those games and apps are based on human needs and what we really feel happy doing, but they hijack it with extra rewards and addiction methods, and that is something I researched to compete against. And I can still keep that vision for some time, but it is I sort of enter the dualism there, or the duality, or what it's called, where I join the fight, start to try and fight fire with fire, because it's the method that I would do it would be then in technology and the external world, which, yeah, provingly have taken me away from and led me onto all of these never-ending branches and hydra heads as a Hercules reference. I don't know if that's Hercules. Maybe it is. Could be. But it's a Greek dude. Anyways, because people are building softwares also that are getting better and better, and there are new inventions all the time with AI, and yeah, and I still have had this vision of simplifying everything for myself and for the world so that we can, with technology, with external help, reach our dreams and reach our inside lives through that. But I need to pause that, and because I've said why, and I can say one more why also, because I had the reoccurring nightmare of my life is that in different formats, I'm going to something fun. For instance, many times watching a hockey game with my dad or playing a hockey game with my friends. But I still need to do one thing or two or three. It's a messy room, for example. I need to search for my gear, my hockey gear, and the search never ends. And I feel so stressed inside, and I end up missing the whole thing. Or if I come out to the ice, I'm not there fully prepared because I sort of don't have a stick or something, and it's a hell actually, and an inner slowly chronic hell it feels, I guess, and that's what it's trying to tell me probably, that's what I'm doing and I continue to do to myself when I'm awake because I haven't flipped the burger or the pancake here internalized or internally. So when I flip it, I see much more of an abstract image. It is still the flashlight representing navigating life with my intention and action, but it's more colorful and it's organic and it's more of fractals. Kind of psychedelic, I guess. More of this organic pattern that is built into reality, not this man-made sort of fence or grid that you do when you do it with your mind and your externalized way of trying to reach infinity or potential or perfection. And I want to say also that I think I've come so far in this insight that it's not just a flip. It is not that I just do the opposite. It's the pendulum when we try to understand beyond black and white, where we often have to go from black to white and then maybe back again a few times, depending on how much you reflect before you can balance it. But so I mean that when I read people maybe on the black side here, the 10x rule or other books, Jim Rohn in the self-help hustle culture, they are not entirely wrong. It is very true that we need responsibility, we need masculine energy to move forward, we need, a lot of action, we need balance action. We need balance, basically. But they are all about 100% action. Work all day long until you're done. So the main difference between these two, let's call it flashlights for the sake of my visualization, but really these two ways of trying to reach perfection. One is externalized, one is internalized, or one is synthetic and one is organic. One is gray, sometimes blue, a little bit, and one is colorful, green, I guess. Excuse my synestheticism. But the main difference is that the organic one, like the plant, it is there, it is working, it is always going in sort of perfection. You don't have to get in front of yourself or in the way of yourself or your intuition or opportunities or social situations or any dreams or anything that is life in order for it to grow into infinity. But you need to distract or you need to see those things as distractions if you are to do the synthetic version, like building perfect systems, perfect games, perfect apps, or perfect content, or things, anything maybe, arguably. Yeah, so that is the main difference. This organic one just works, and it has always worked, and it will include everything that you need or desire, or in my case at least, that is what I already knew since I found one of my deepest parts of myself there during these years, how I want to live and what matters to me in an angle. Because the plant also runs by these 3 steps of just living, receiving, or absorbing, and then giving back. Living and then receiving from the sun and from water. Then it gives back in fruit and seeds and other stuff. And it's the same for probably anything in the organic reality. Where the synthetic one is, well, it doesn't allow life for the one really. I mean, because life is, if life, like for me, is putting how much time I want into connecting with people, how much I want it into meditation, and how much I want into reading, which probably isn't more than a couple of hours per day, but those are hours that I wouldn't have if I were to try to reach perfection in a product in the synthetic world. So it doesn't allow life in that sense, and it can't absorb that much either from life. Yeah, it can't, because that is also a distraction. I guess it can absorb from, well, learning just about what it needs to learn in order to one day be able to give. And I guess that is the carrot on a stick there. And, well, arguably so far, has technology really given anything of value to us? Well, of course it has. That was a pretty silly question, but how much of all the technology does that? And isn't it really creating more problems that we need to solve with other technology many times? I did a video on this actually now that I remember. I think it's called How to Stop Overcomplicating Life. It's a shorter one. Yeah, so that is the main difference between those two. There are no shortcuts in life except for when you internalize something externalized. I've had experiences quite a few times now, I think, where there are shortcuts like that. Because, like in this time, where the vision that I had, that I realized, which was these 3 things, just, that I've been repeating, it was possible to just jump straight to them with this sort of switching of perspectives. And what I switched, again, was where I put my intention and my perfectionism, and I put it now towards the organic. I allowed that to run wildly in its search for perfectionism, without me interfering with my mind so much. I just sense how I really want to grow, and I really want to learn, really want to live, and how I really get the best opportunities and insights now from that, and can then give the better and best back to life. So in practice, that means with my content creation, really, my process is I live with open eyes and open senses now, truly. And this is what I mean also, where I sense this change that I related to the old meditation breakthrough that I had shortly. No, I won't go into that now, actually. But just shortly, like I said, it felt like my brain just let go finally from a lifelong knot or cramp. And this feeling or sensation makes me much more open to opportunities, and I feel that every step that I take, I am actually aware of what I'm doing, the surrounding and the present moment in a whole other level, because otherwise I have been so focused on the project, which makes sense when that is what you turn your flashlight towards. But now I have still, the flashlight is pointing at my project, but this time it's very different because it includes now the pattern, the perfection, the perfect system that I am following naturally by just letting go, actually, to a very large extent, is taking place in the present moments, and every step that I take I am very alert in a nice sense, in an intuitive sense also, because alertness is in the fear family of emotions, and that is also very tied to intuition, by the way. But anyways, that is also another sidetrack that needs more time to explain how fear isn't always what we think it is. All emotions can be in its tiny flowy sense or state where it's helping us. And even the strong helps us, but not when they are in that constantly or don't get understood by us. So I walk around, live life, being open to doing exactly what I want, what I feel like, which I, by the way, have had time to do all of these three years, but I haven't because I've been so disciplined and using my perfectionism in the wrong way. Or now at least I feel that it's the wrong way, and it is now because I realize this. You can't know something before you know it, and then it's right to learn that thing through failing. But anyways, I walk around, live life, and I'm open to invitations, to intuitions, and it's sort of this red. Can you say red thread in English? That is what you say in Swedish when it's a red line. Red line seems something that you don't want to cross, but anyways, it's maybe a golden thread. Is how you say it. Something theme, constant theme, which gives me flow, and I feel that, well, I am constantly aware of what I'm doing, and it's nice because it's growing me, and it is not. And then this is the most amazing part, that it's not limiting me in any way. It's giving me the cake and letting me eat it, because I can enjoy everything that I have postponed now, while getting even better work for my content. So in the practice there, I absorb and I take notes. I still take notes. Like my system, what I keep is taking notes, saving them in somewhere I can find them easily, and then be able to add notes to that note, because I still have this intention of a project, or the next video like this one, where I have, since this insight, I have been accumulating different ways of explaining it, and here I am where I can put words to it. And I also keep a log of what I have posted and published, with transcriptions, so that I can search through it. And it's also good for editing if I say something that I regret. So that is pretty much it, and goodbye the search for perfection in the digital world, because the goals are anyways the same, and I seemingly never reach that goal, because now I realize that this synthetic version of it sort of has built into it that it needs to find perfection before I can reach my goal, whereas the organic one steps into perfection right away, even though it's paradoxically not perfection, but it is perfect, and that is sort of the eating the cake and having it. And I would argue that if you're in any of these categories of even hobbies or side hustles or what you want to do, this would work for you too. Like, get the most basic way of taking notes and building upon them, and then use them for later works and build like that if you want. But there are other ways, even more simpler ways probably, but with that simple method, it is very possible to just step into this perfection of life, or the organic perfection of life, as a creator or artist of any sort, or teacher, storyteller, even entrepreneur, if you also know that you can take notes and create information products where you teach very high level stuff that took a lot of education maybe, or rough initiations, for example. And it works very well with, I've heard that Darwin, who was an author who wrote a lot of books and founded Darwinism, which is still a very adopted system in the world. He took a lot of walks. He wrote a little bit, and then took walks and wrote a little bit more. Probably took some notes here and there. and it didn't work for long each day because you need this space when you work with creativity. And creativity, by the way, is just seeing something that you think will help the world or make it more beautiful or better, and then try to put it into the world. So that is what all of these job titles or hobbies that I mentioned commonly try to do. What I wanted to say was that when you work with creativity, you need a lot of space in between. The classic shower idea, where you balance the focus trying to solve a problem with the relaxed rest. That is the perfect creative balance back and forth. And how I really found how to balance this isn't with just strict walks or showers. It is through life, living life intuitively, following your joy, your desire, and your heart, really, and being open to opportunities that come to you and invitations. Because experiences, and especially novel experiences and new experiences, or difficult ones, or random ones, they are what give the best perspectives. People who travel a lot can testify to that. So I can travel freely now in myself and outside, and having this path of work, you could say, or creative work path, highly enhanced too at the same time. Because it doesn't take much time for me then, when I keep it simple and keep true to my vision of just living, getting, sharing, because the final part is just recording it or publishing it. And that can be done from anywhere. It's even better if it's done from anywhere, because it's, like I said, better or more fertile soil, where when you grow with the same soil or what it is every year, it doesn't produce the best crops anymore. Whereas if you blend it, it's gonna be better. Well, and recording from different places is also probably a benefit because of the cool background and environment instead of the basement. Yeah, so I will also, on a final cool metaphor here, to hit it home even more so, I guess, is to bring in the calculator to, yeah, hear me out here. Because, like I went over also earlier, we inevitably seek perfection, and it's a good thing and a natural thing. But we try to do it externally, right? Because we don't understand that you can do it internally. What I mean now with internally is sort of this organic thing that is more internal. An external way of trying to reach infinity or infinite potential or perfection on the calculator is to take multiplication. All right, so for ease of example, we take the number 5 and we want to multiply it up to 10. Then we need to take double, okay? But what's interesting here is that we also, the opposition or the opposite partner to multiplication is division. And you can take the number 5 again and you can divide it, but this time with half instead of double, so 0.5, and you still get 10. So whereas there is no infinite button that we can multiply with in the external way of reaching infinity, try for yourself to instead take any number and divide it by 0. That is showing you that it is so much more achievable to turn inside, reach nothingness, reach 0, instead of trying in the exterior to multiply with everything and create databases and just take over the world maybe, or anything that externalization could lead to when you try to reach perfection there, or infinity. Because anything divided by 0 is infinity. Think about that for a while. But yeah, nothingness can be very scary. It is actually a card in the tarot, nothingness, and I think it has the number 0 if I'm not wrong. And it's described as a scary place to be, but yeah, nothingness is the opposite side of everything, and they're the same coin, but different sides. And the only way we can reach everything is through nothingness, in this sense. Where they also say in the tarot card there that something sacred is about to be born. And that is, by the way, how I always feel when I do this process, when I'm talking with someone. When something is off and I know that something great is or sacred is about to be born here, because I know that it's always the case that I can transform this, whatever it is, if I don't feel scared of this gap of nothingness. I guess another way of showing how it's so easy to externalize things nowadays is if we see something beautiful, many people pull up the phone and strip themselves from that moment, from living life in its organic sense, for the future, to have the image or the video in the future, but also there in the future being able to go back to the past. And it's a typical thing that we do, or many people do, and what I've been doing, but so just a thing to look out for when indulging in tools, in technology that can be very useful in sometimes, make sure that they are working like Dumbledore's pensive. You know, the bowl of where he puts his thoughts, and he can return it when he needs them, and that's it. It doesn't have to be a bowl that solves all of his other problems or makes it super easy and very beautiful and appealing to other people even, and something that he can sell in the future or whatever. So think of it more like a spell like that, I would guess, is a good idea. And look more to try to flip most of the things. If you find yourself, like me, going on a very long journey in the synthetic realm or external realm of trying to be done with something before you can start to live your vision, where many times that vision, it's possible to just jump in. And it's the same with, for example, those of you who are aware of World of Warcraft. It's very possible and built up for you to accumulate a lot of gear and weapons in order to be more powerful, but I want that just for, when I play it, I want it just for being better in arena. And actually, to be honest, it's just to play arena, because there you also get a skill and a fun. And it's a good example just because it's so easily done to never play arena, just preparing endlessly, because you can always get better gear and actually not play what you wanted to play. It's so silly. That's how we can be tricked on these opposites of shortcuts. And many times that is possible to just go straight to the core, because there are no shortcuts, like I said, but except for many times when you flip external to internal in a mindset, from multiplying with infinite, or trying to multiply with infinity, to dividing by zero. It works very well when you know the essence of what you are reaching for, so that you can eat your food fresh, not keeping it for later, the perfect moment, and so that you can experience life directly and not behind a screen or through the play that you love, and not with a preparation for one day being able to play that, and not building the road, but instead just understand that the road is here, right under the feet, and it's always been that. So it's funny how the deepest rooted patterns or programmings in the brain takes a lot of laps of understanding from different angles, because I did a video just a few weeks ago where I speak of sort of the same thing, but in a completely different angle, where the solution also was an interrealization, where I realized that I sort of have everything, but it was more tied to confidence and stuff. And if you haven't seen that one is here somewhere. But yeah, I feel so changed from this little realization or big one. And a line that came to me was that now I feel that the world is my oyster. I have never looked into where that comes from or what that even truly means, but I sort of feel that this is what I mean. That now I can finally go and live my vision, and I can travel and I can do these things without interrupting my passion work, and I can even take a job that I could enjoy. For instance, I would like probably in that case to maybe go back to a raw food cafe or a cafe of some sort. Doesn't have to be raw food anymore, but those tend to attract the most interesting people, and had all those nice conversations with the customers and learn so much. And I'm finally visiting a friend in a community in sort of an eco village in Sweden. And I've been speaking about doing that for 3 years, but been declining most of the things coming at me, and it's gonna be so fun and it's so perfect that I just realized this thing a couple of days ago, and then this spring festival is in this weekend, and yeah, it's a perfect breaking point on my 3-year caveman phase, so it's been very, very valuable, I can say that. But yeah, enough talk for now. It's been enjoyable, but thank you. See ya. But thank you for listening and watching. So have a bye.
I don't know if I can find my way out. I'm stuck in a prison of doubt.